Hello everyone, Paul with RGS Restorations, and it's early September in Wisconsin right now, and it's starting to get a little bit cooler outside, so that's going to start bringing people into sighting in their deer hunting rifles, and that's what we're going to do today. Specifically, is we're going to talk about deer hunting rifles and sighting in. Now, in Wisconsin, every year, usually it's like closer to the October, maybe early November period, people start going to gun ranges and they have their deer sight-in weekends, and they're a great thing, but they can also kind of do you a disservice potentially in some ways, in that they kind of have to put people through a very short time span to get a lot of people in and out. So maybe you're shooting your gun, maybe a half a dozen times to get you sighted in, and you're done shooting on a hot barrel. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at if finishing your shot on a hot barrel is going to change from a cold barrel, like when you go out hunting on a cooler morning or something like that and you take that shot. How far is that shot off, if at all, from where you sighted it in on that hot bore? And I'm also going to look at a clean cold bore and if that changes from just a cold bore. So, and the reason I'm doing this is every year I always get people, they come into our shop and it's the same story. Hey, I sighted this thing in, I know it was sighted in, but I cleanly missed a deer. So I wanted to just take a few guns that you would typically see in Wisconsin and kind of go through like a mock sighting in. And some of these I actually have to sight in. I have no idea where they're at. I pulled them off a rack. They're not my own firearms. They're guns that are for sale. And I just wanted to go through a mock sighting in and seeing where we're at, and then reshoot them and go through the test like I explained. So anyway, let's start shooting and see what we get today. All right, our first rifle today that we're going to use is a Remington 742. This is clearly got to be one of the all-time classics ever made. Just the sheer numbers that they made of these firearms alone speaks volumes to their popularity. So this is 742 in pretty decent shape with just a standard and older 4-power banner, post and crosshair on it. So we're gonna, all of our shooting today is gonna be at 100 yards. This one is in 30-06, and I have no idea where it's gonna print on paper. So I'm gonna take one shot and find out if whoever had this last actually had it sighted in. So here we go. $12 o'clock high on that one. So I am going to make some adjustments. Okay, let's see where this one is. Pretty close. Now we're a little bit low, so this scope is using more clicks, so. And the ammo I'm using today is Winchester 150 grain. And the temperature of the cold barrel was 68 degrees. All right. We might pretty much just be where this scope is going to want to be, or this rifle is going to want to be for this load. All right, I'm going to take one more just for good measure. Yeah, it's right in there. Okay, our next rifle here is going to be a Winchester Model 70. Now this one is a 7mm Remington Magnum, and granted it's a little bit well, maybe a little bit big for deer, depending on some people's ideas on it, but I wanted to get a higher power rifle that potentially, because this is kind of a lighter rifle with a thinner barrel profile, something that might walk around a little bit more. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I have no idea. But anyway, that's what we have next here, and we'll start with the test. A little low. Okay, that one right in there. This one seems to be pretty well sighted in. But you know, I'm going to shoot it some more because I want the barrel to heat up a little bit. Okay, now this is definitely moving to the right as we're shooting. I think to duplicate what most sighting in places would do, I am going to move this. Okay, so that moved us back over to the left, and again, just to kind of duplicate sighting in conditions, I'm going to move it up. And one more shot. All right, I'm going to go put up 2 fresh targets and grab the next firearm in series. Okay, so our next firearm here that we're going to use is going to be a Remington 870 with a cantilever and a scope on it. Now, again, here's another one. I have no idea how this is going to perform. Hopefully, I forgot to grab some more sabots other than what I have here. So hopefully I have enough to get this test done, but let's not waste time and we'll start shooting at it. Again, it's 100 yards, so this hopefully isn't too tall of an order to ask this shotgun to do. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. And we gotta go up. So some of you might be wondering why I'm tapping on the scope as I am, and that just basically has to do with backlash in the turrets. And sometimes older scopes, I don't know, they can get a little gooey and gummy. And when you make an adjustment, it automatically, that reticle cell doesn't follow that turret adjustment exactly, and because there's spring tension in there. Sometimes just giving them a little wrap will help put them into place. I have seen that happen where people will chase bullets all over the target because they adjust their turrets thinking that it's going to be right there, and they shoot and it's not. Maybe that cell moved a part of the way or half of the way, or maybe not at all. So they'll shoot and they maybe had half of the change or some of the change, so they make an adjustment and then it changes again. So it's just, especially when it gets colder, older scopes. I know a lot of people think it's silly and not necessarily anything that matters, but I have seen it where it does matter. So anyway, that's my experience, and go with shot number 2. And that one hit me in the head. and I didn't like it. Hopefully I'm not bleeding. Well, now. That one seemed to have missed the target here or something, so I'm not sure what's going on. We'll take one more shot. Yeah. To back up from this dude a little bit more. All right, our first shot hit the paper, now we're not on it. Ugh, this is what I hate. Time to go to the 25-yard target. I don't have a camera on that one, but I have a 25-yard target just for this purpose. Well, elevation is good. Has to come to the right. Back at 100, see where we're at. All right, there we are back on target, a little high. Now it's back a little low. Okay. Now it's back high. I think I might just leave it there and see if this is going to put another one near there. And if it does, great. I think we'll just call that the 0. All right, close enough for all purposes. It's within a couple inches, so we'll say that is the 0 on this scope. Okay, our next rifle that we're going to be doing some testing with here is going to be a Model 700 Remington. This is just the plain Jane model with a shorter barrel. It has the see-through mounts, which most people hate. I'm not going to make any comment on them. They've no doubtedly have worked for decades and have taken many deer, and hopefully for the people that use them, they've done the job adequately. But I'm going to leave this just as it is. Again, another rifle that came in. I have no idea if it's sighted in or not, and we're going to find out right now. Ooh, that was really high. Really, really high. Okay. We are still, it's a good solid 10 inches off. Probably a little bit more than 10, but you never know how these scopes track sometimes, so it's not a bad idea to maybe sneak up on it just a bit. Clicks down, and I'm gonna go 4 to the left. And this ammo is 168 grain. Okay, I should have this in 2 more shots. I'm going to say that's good enough. And our next rifle here is going to be a Marlin, the 1895. Now this one, I wish I would have had something in a 30-30 or at least a 35 Remington, but I do not hunt, I shoot, so I generally tend to hold on to the ones in weird calibers. This one isn't a 4.44 and it's the ported model, so I always, I don't know, I gravitate to the stuff that's a little more weird. Anyway, I wish I had a 30-30. I didn't, I had this one, but I wanted to include a lever action just because they're so frequently used for hunting, and I figured use the lever revolution that Hornady makes because it's probably some of the better stuff out there for a lot of lever guns and hunting. And again, I have no idea where this one is going to be on the paper because I had just put that scope on there and only bore sighted it, so we'll see. I think we should be on paper at 100 with that, so this is going to go straight to 100 yards. All right. That's looking pretty good. No clicks in this turret. I want to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes of angle. And I want to come over 6 MOA. Okay, another 2. I think the height will call pretty good. Well, one can't say this Hornady ammo is not accurate. I would call that pretty good for a lever gun. All right, so following the order that we shot these in, the 742 is first, and these are cold now. Because I don't want, you only have a limited amount of time to record on all of this out in the field here, I decided to skip the cold and then the clean cold and just go to a clean cold. So anyway, we're going to start with the 742, and that was 150 grain Winchester again. I think I know where that shot went, but I'm not 100% sure, so I will take one more. And I know it wasn't near where we ended up. Now we're on the Model 70. right, so that one, pretty close. I think we'll just leave it where it is. Following in suit, the 870 is up next, and I gotta be honest, I'm not really looking forward to shooting this one again, but I'm gonna do my best to make sure flinching is not going to skew results here. So we were a little high last time at the top of the target because I didn't have enough rounds left to really dial it in. So if we're even close, I consider that a win. Let's find out. Close to where it was, but let's see where I have one round left. Let's see where a follow-up shot goes. Okay, so that's interesting with that one. This one's looking pretty fair where that cold shot was. I'm pretty sure I know what one it is, but let me put one more in there. And then last again is going to be the 444. And one more. I think this one is back on there, so okay. That is all of our rifles, and we're gonna go over the targets and do some measuring, see where we're all at, and we'll wrap this up. All right, that's our test. So were the results what you thought they would be? I know they, for me, they were a little bit different than what I had expected. Not sure if you guys were expecting about the same results. I was particularly surprised that not really any one of the firearms was that dramatically far off from a cold clean shot from where we ended up on the hot shot. And you know, the worst one was the Slug, which was like 5-ish inches away or whatever I measured. And that was after I took the barrel off by hand and cleaned it and then put the barrel back on and just made it, you know, good and snug by hand. So there was not really any cranking down on the nut on that. Just basically trying to replicate something maybe that you would do in the field. So just to go over again, what I cleaned with was just wet patched with Hoppy's No. 9 solvent, and that was just a basic thorough scrubbing and making sure there was nothing in there. And then I followed it up with a dry patch and then a very fine coat of Hoppy's No. 9 lubricating oil. And then we shot again. So most of those that you'll see were pretty close to where we ended up hot. And even in some of the instances, like after maybe a second or third, well, I think I only shot 2, but a second shot fouling and it wanted to go right back to where it was when it was hot. So pretty interesting. And I think hopefully that was insightful. If you guys like this stuff, make sure that you click like and subscribe to it. If you have any comments on the material, we'd be glad to hear those as well. Also, I know there is a ton of videos out there on sighting in and minutes of angle and all that. Now I know a couple of those scopes that I was using in there, they didn't have your traditional 1/4 minute clicks on some of the older loopholes. So if you guys would like to see some videos covering, you know, maybe a non-traditional scopes and minutes of angles and how to help get sighted in at different yardages and all that, leave a comment and we'll see what we can do with that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed today's video, and until we see you at the range again next time, happy shooting.